Are you a musician? Do you or someone you know play guitar for a hobby or even a living? Do you suffer from not being able to express yourself creatively and have a burning desire to learn Wonderwall to play at your next party so people can witness just how deep and expressive you are through the gift of song? Or maybe you simply want to learn how to play for fun and it's just too expensive to get a guitar that sounds great and looks as good as the ones you see your favorite artists playing. Well, here's some good news. You don't have to sell your car to buy the last remaining acoustic that Elvis toured with from a museum because I have a gift for you. Orangewood Guitars founded their brand to provide quality guitars at affordable prices by shipping them directly to their customers. No middleman means no extra markup. They cherish the guitar culture because it encompasses creativity, freedom, and expression. That's exactly why they believe quality acoustic guitars should be accessible and affordable. You no longer have to choose between your budget and owning an instrument that sounds great and is as reliable as the ones that are much more expensive. Visit orangewoodguitars.com and enter the code COFFEE10 when you check out to receive 10% off your order, and follow them on Instagram at Orangewood Guitars to keep up to date with the latest in their ever-expanding product line. That's orangewoodguitars.com, code COFFEE10. That's COFFEE10 whenever you check out at orangewoodguitars.com. That's our sponsor, and stay with us for a great episode.
It's coffee. It's comics. It's music. It's Nerds on Coffee.
I'm going to start this episode very differently.
How?
Vaccinate your kids.
That's a recurring theme on our episodes of just
We went down a dark
berating people for not using common sense.
So we have three formats of episodes, guys. One is interviews like this. Another one is we watch a movie and we line up the movie to the podcast so our nerd friends can listen to our commentary, which is typically better than the actual movie, because we usually do it for shitty movies or for the Marvel movies, but we don't talk as much during those.
Yeah, the Marvel movies, we just watch them, and people are like, why did I hit play on this? And you're not talking. Like, yeah, because the movie's awesome. Like, no.
And then the third one is the two of us just kind of have conversations, and they either go really interestingly in depth to learning about Nicolas Cage's pet octopus, or they go really right where we spend an hour and a half dissecting the reptilian conspiracy in America and how they take over the planet. Those are like kind of the barometers of our podcast.
Nice. I want to listen to the reptilian conspiracy one.
It is a crowning achievement.
That came on, yeah, so we're like a handful of episodes in at this point, and...
Is this recording?
Oh, yeah.
This is just how we start.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone, by the way.
No, I don't want to give them that benefit.
Okay, well, then
No.
then unhigh, go away.
Let's do some introductions.
Yes.
So,
Matt's usually better at intros than I am. I usually forget to intro, even myself.
do you like Josh or Joshua?
Do you like Matt or Matthew?
Matthew. Joshua. Cool. So we have Joshua and his younger brother Hunter. Oh, I have an uncle named Hunter.
Nice.
I like that.
I'm an uncle.
Are you?
Yes.
Maybe
Do you have a son?
Maybe you are Matt's
A
uncle.
daughter.
Our sister has a son.
Oh, amazing.
Oh,
So
two
I was
sons.
one of two right. I was right. It was a boy. Wrong about which sibling. Got it.
There you go.
And Joshua, you and I believe your father own the CryoZone, or is it just you?
Our father. Our father is the one who started it.
Amazing.
And then we both came along a little bit later.
Dope. And it started in Texas.
Yeah.
And now we're at the location in Santa Monica, and you operated, and we just went through, I think, most of the services.
Yeah, I think the only one we didn't do was...
The
what was
light
only one-
treatment.
Yeah, the light treatment. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll jump into all that and like our experiences in a bit, but I think more importantly, I do want to talk about quickly. You just got back from Japan.
I did just get back from Japan. Went with Starly. We co-headlined the Corona Music Fest in Okinawa, and
Which I'm writing a comic book for, ironically.
great. Yeah, you're writing. Yeah,
So funny.
writing a comic for a guy in Okinawa about the history of Okinawa, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, which I learned about 1/10 of 1,000th of a 0.5% of while I was there, because I was only there for like 5 days. But I'd never been to Japan before. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm eating popcorn. But it was super fun. Show was great.
You've never
Got
been
see
to
some of
Japan?
Never been to Japan.
Huh.
Which, to be fair, I still don't feel like I've technically been
Well, if
to
you haven't
Japan.
gone to Tokyo, you've not been to
Exactly,
Japan.
because Okinawa is like the Hawaii of Japan.
Exactly.
It's a small island, like a few hours south and it's like a little bit more laid back. They're not as seafood focused. They're more beef and pork focused.
Wagyu,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I pretty much just ate nothing but dead animals the whole time I was there. And it was amazing.
And
No,
I
the
just
show
got
was
back
cool.
from Europe.
Yeah, you were on a little run in
Yeah,
Europe.
6 shows, 11 days, 40 hours total sleep.
Yeah.
It was great.
I remember because I was traveling a lot internationally while you were out, and then I was traveling a lot domestically while you were out. No matter what time zone I was in, no matter what time it was for me, you were always up.
Yeah, I was
just
always up.
always awake.
Yeah, it was a pretty intense 2 weeks. The shows were great though, so I mean, at the end of the day, I guess it's all you do it for the Instagram video of me launching pyro in Sweden, right?
Yeah,
I guess that's
which
why
is
you do
a
it.
really shitty payoff.
Yeah, it's a really shitty payoff. It's a great. That's a wrong statement. It's actually diminishing returns shitty because like
That's
the
right.
first time is totally worth it.
That makes
but
sense.
Easily by the second time, it's not worth it anymore.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then today I got an amazing ticket while we were while we were doing all of our fun
Well, because the sign.
well, I just want to I brought it up because I want to shit on the city of Santa Monica.
That's fair.
Because the ticket I got today is because there was a sign that said no parking 7 a.m. to 2 a.m., which means no parking anytime except we're cunts and we want you to get a ticket.
No, you can
Yeah.
park there between 2 a.m. and 7 a.m.
Right.
for no more than 2 hours.
Yeah, that's LA, everyone.
So ridiculous. It's an irrelevant ticket, no big deal. But if anything, if I have to pay the city of Santa Monica, I am definitely going to shit on them on our podcast.
Oh, absolutely.
You missed the free parking behind CryoZone. We do have a very large free parking lot.
Amazing.
That's just the poetic, like, just subtext of this whole story. It's just like you could have just parked for free, but you didn't, and that's okay.
I love it. All right, so that's a great segue. So
Yeah, so we are
here today to
in Santa
talk
Monica.
about CryoZone and cold therapy and how I kind of discovered you guys through ClassPass. And I discovered the idea of cryotherapy through the Joe Rogan podcast because he's a big proponent. So I listened to that podcast pretty religiously. A little bit of history of our podcast. I started it with Kyle as inspiration because I love that podcast so much. Nice. So our format is very similar where it's just like whatever. We talk, we have fun, we engage, and we kind of see what people think. But I found you guys on that and I had such a great experience from the staff and from the machinery that I was like, I want to work with these guys on our podcast. And I reached out to you, and you got back pretty quickly. And now a couple weeks later, we're here kind of making this happen. So we're really excited to have you guys here.
Nice. We're happy to be here, too. And funny enough, Cryo actually came from Japan as well.
Oh, interesting.
Wow.
I think I knew that.
I think that's how I know that we live in a simulation.
Right? Well, they're just such a forward culture.
They really are.
They're everything either comes from there or is debuted there first. Like video games come out there first. Yep. They're also way harder there.
Yeah.
Like they changed
Well,
them for us.
Yeah.
Or at least they have through the 80s and 90s with like Nintendo.
Yeah, totally.
and
Well,
things like
because
that.
they're better at math.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
That's absolutely irrefutable.
And they're also not from this planet. They just live there.
Yes.
Are they part of the reptilian planet?
They're just aliens.
Yeah.
I don't know. If you've been to Asia, you would agree. Have you been to Asia yet?
I was in Singapore when I was younger, but
That doesn't count.
Yeah.
That's like Singapore's like Malaysia, right?
I never knew that my brother went to Singapore.
You've known him your whole life, and you were today years old when you found out he went to Malaysia.
You know what's flashing in my mind? My mind's eye right now is the more you know symbol.
The more you know. Mhm.
Yeah. Do you need a second to inquire about his Singapore
Do
escapades?
you guys want us to leave the room for a minute, and we'll come
No,
back?
no.
when you-
It doesn't matter.
Hunter wants to tell you the story of cryotherapy and how it came about in Japan, I
oh
believe.
yeah, I could tell you that.
Yeah.
Oh,
let's do it.
great.
Yeah,
let's go. So move closer to the mic.
Yeah, absolutely. So I haven't reviewed this, so I might be off of my facts. I believe it was 1976 whenever Dr. Yamaguchi in Japan found out whole body cryotherapy was beneficial for rheumatoid arthritis, and he found that out because it was originally
Wait, Yamaguchi?
Yamaguchi, exactly like Tamaguchi, but Yamaguchi.
Is that like the little things that you used to have?
Those are
The
Tamagotchis.
Yes.
Tamagotchis. Okay.
Yeah.
So-
it's like that, but not.
It's not,
Unrelated.
exactly.
Yeah.
Double
It just
wrong.
sounds very familiar. It makes people's brains go off. It's a fun name. It sounds like a dance movie. But yeah, so he originally was doing local cryotherapy on people in substitution for icing. And
Okay.
people were saying that it was better in helping the rheumatoid arthritis
interesting.
more than icing. And it's also been proven that it penetrates the skin more deep, but at the time that wasn't proven. It was just a theory, so he ended up building a machine that was safe that you could enter, and then there were like multiple chambers at that time, so you would go colder and colder until you actually
awesome.
got that whole.
So the first cryotherapy place in Japan,
Yeah.
how many people did they kill by freezing?
I always think about that.
Yeah.
I don't think I heard anything.
It was
so.
after World War II, so we believe it was 0. Like, it was like the 70s.
You know what? That's
so, like,
fair.
I was like,
got
they
mixed
were
up.
good by then.
See, I always say that like anything has like a trial and test history, right? Like even
Oh,
like
yeah.
nuclear bombs, we've made 3 places inert from testing them.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You know, just like I also, and I've said this on the podcast before, our demise will happen when we create a warp engine and some idiot activates it too close to the planet and it like pushes the planet off the axis.
That's why Elon
probably
Musk
gonna
is
happen.
right that we need to settle Mars.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
I totally agree. I think anytime it's just like it's even like in life, right? People always say like it's better to have multiple revenue streams, right? Like it's great
yeah.
to make money from one place. It's better to make money from 2 places. It's great to make money from 3 different places.
7.
7.
Particularly when you expand it up
8.
to level of planets.
Right, exactly. So why aren't you making humans on multiple planets?
10. 11
Are
even.
you still counting?
I haven't stopped the whole time. No, definitely. So let's get back to
12.
cryo. Yeah, we're trying to stay on topic better because through the history of this show, we would depart and then we will depart and then we will depart. And then 2 hours later, we're like, man, it was just such a good time getting to talk about your.
I thought you were about
what do
to
you do?
segue into Project Pegasus right there.
No, yeah,
I would.
that's definitely do it.
And then into Project Blue Book.
So, based on what you're describing about like the original cryo chamber is the appropriate term,
Right.
Yeah.
So, based on what you're describing of people like getting out and going into multiple ones, were they fixed temperature? Like
were fixed
they didn't have the
temperatures at
ability
that
to like
time, yeah.
regulate it at the time.
They did, but they didn't. So it's become more efficient over the years.
Oh, sure.
It has become more effective with the gas, so people are saving money on the
What
gas.
do they use?
Nitrogen is-
Nitrogen.
yeah.
Okay.
It's what's predominantly used in the.
And that's why when we were doing it and you had me bend down for the neck piece, you said don't breathe it in because
Yeah.
it's nitrogen.
Yeah,
Oh,
so the
yeah.
air's 78% nitrogen or so.
Okay.
But that chamber below the neck is 100% nitrogen.
Oh, okay.
And our bodies need about 18% oxygen before we start having problems with existing.
So we
Oh,
don't
sure.
recommend to take a breath in, but if you breathe it, it would like not breathing air basically. So you'd have to get a breath
Gotcha.
of oxygen after that.
It's like trying
Okay.
to breathe in outer space.
Yeah.
Really? So if
Yeah.
you tried to breathe underneath
Rad.
that thing, you would it's like holding your breath.
Exactly. So you
Just
wanna-
like
it would
that's
be-
gotta be a
it would-
bizarre
it would-
feeling.
it's
It's
more
like-
like- it feels weird.
No, it's more like flooding your system with nitrogen.
It's not recommended.
what I'm
Yeah, it's-
describing is literally what I just said.
Wait, but back to the thing about Yamaguchi that's interesting though is he noticed it from observing nature because cryo is a lot older than just the 70s in Japan.
Okay.
Oh,
like,
interesting.
Like monks in Nepal know that when their ankles hurt, just go sit in the river.
Oh, okay,
It'll make
yeah.
the pain decrease. So Yamaguchi actually noticed it because he saw that his patients with arthritis when they would go on ski trips would come back and would have more mobility and less pain.
Oh,
And then he
interesting.
started to figure out like, oh, I actually
There's a
combine
correlation here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exercise and which one is it? Exercise and cold? Actually, it's both. you
Sure.
know?
Yeah.
And
that's awesome.
like ice baths.
Yeah, I was about to
athletes
say that. That's
take.
exactly
Is
what I said.
that-
Yeah.
Is that even older?
Yeah, I mean,
It's probably older than like the modern version of cryo.
Yeah, of course.
Just like, yeah.
What do you guys think of? And this is just kind of off topic, but not. But what do you guys think of like sleep deprivation tanks?
I've done them and liked them.
Yeah, they're cool. I've done them.
Oh, you have?
Yeah,
I've never
we
done
should
it.
do it on the episode.
I'm down.
But
There's a place
it's
called
cool.
Pause in Venice and in Westwood. It's pretty good.
Oh, okay. I went to a spot in Pasadena. I've only ever done it once, but it was cool.
Have you ever done it?
I one time did a float tank.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
what I'm talking. That's what I did. Is that what you're
I
talking
think
about?
that's what I'm thinking about.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
a float
Are
tank.
you talking about the one with salt water or
Yeah.
the one that's like a
So-
virtual
yes.
experience?
No, it's
Go
not a
ahead and
virtual
say,
experience.
I have a
It's salt
strong
water.
preference for going to the Dead Sea. Like just
I've done that also.
Yeah.
Just do that once or twice in your life.
Have you done
it's-
that?
Yeah, it's way cooler.
Are you Jewish?
I'm from France.
Oh,
Oh,
cool.
me
There
too.
was a
I'm
there
French.
was
He's
a,
French.
Yeah.
there was a
French Revolution
persecution
in
there
here.
at one time.
Finally, we
No,
outnumber
so-
you. Yes, there's always more Jewish people on our
We're
show than not.
Catholic, but I speak lots of languages and I like the Torah. I don't know.
I love it.
That's pretty fair.
No, I only asked because I've only been to the Dead Sea on my free birthright trip.
I tried. I took out loans, so I was in grad school, so I just upped my FAFSA loan. It's been 10 years, so I don't think I'm going to get in trouble. And also, let's be real, the government loves Israel. The fact that I use government money to go there, I mean, come on.
They love it. Wait, so where'd you do your graduate program?
George Washington University.
Oh, in D.C.
Yeah.
Amazing.
my
Where'd you
sister-
undergrad?
George Washington University.
Oh, sick. What'd you study?
Finance and information systems
Oh, very cool. Yeah,
And Spanish.
and Spanish. Yeah.
I love D.C. D.C. is one of my favorite places.
Yeah,
on
my
the
sister
planet.
lived there for like
Oh, I
five,
hate
6,
it now.
7 years, something like that.
Because your sister was there. I
In
don't like it.
DC, we have cryotherapy there every winter.
Really?
It gets cold there. It's just, yeah.
Happens. I don't know.
So
that
I would
doesn't
say
happen here.
cryotherapy is just an environment for your body to react to, because that's
Yeah,
literally
see, I,
That's
I,
fair.
I grew up in New York City, and I have a very love-hate relationship with the winter.
Same.
I think that every kid should grow up in the winter to understand winter is coming.
Yep.
But then when they become adults, it is so dysfunctional.
It's miserable.
It's just dysfunctional to having an efficient life to have to deal with
It
that.
disrupts society.
I'm a
Yeah, it
very
does.
like processed person where I like to have like I'm very scheduled.
Yeah.
So like if I have to spend an hour in the morning shoveling a car, that's very inefficient for
Yeah.
my life.
right.
But I definitely would never trade the fact of growing up in that because it taught me that there's places on this
Oh, agreed.
planet that suck to live.
Right.
Yeah.
That one of my favorite like Daniel Tosh lines is he's like, I always like hate talking to people who are like, I just could never live in Southern California. Just like I just love seasons too much. You have to be in a place with seasons. I love seasons. And he's like, yeah, I love seasons too. That's why I moved to a place that skips the shitty ones. Like that's exactly how I feel about California.
Yeah.
Not Northern California because they still have winter.
I actually like Northern
Oh,
California weather better.
I love Northern California for
That's
different
like-
reasons. Yeah,
I like it being a little bit colder.
I do too. I
There's
typically
more
gravitate
water.
to.
The problem with
Yeah.
the lack of cold is that it also correlates with no water. And it's
Well, we
nice
are in
to
a
see
desert
water,
right
yeah.
now. Southern California
Yeah.
was a desert at some point.
Oh, definitely.
We were just in the desert this morning. Still a desert.
Did you?
Yeah, we slept in Death Valley last night.
Oh my god.
At I can't remember the name of the town even, but little hot spring town to Tamora or
Basically.
Takora. I can't remember the name of it, but great spot. Just don't do that in July.
Well,
It's
did you-
85 degrees at night.
Oh my
there.
gosh.
It was a stellar night at Hot Springs, though. Definitely
was very
recommend it.
good.
Okay.
One of 2 in the world. It's worth sleeping in Death Valley to get that
Okay.
experience.
Well, speaking of deserts, I was watching a documentary. Did you know that the Sahara used to be like a rainforest?
No.
Desert?
Yeah, like that.
I
Interesting.
believe it.
Yeah, there's like some I guess there. Like how we haven't really investigated the Amazon yet.
Yeah, because
No,
everything there
this
will
has
kill
been-
you.
There's a video on Netflix called Our Strange Rock, and it
Yes,
actually talks
yes.
about how the diatoms have been transferred over so that
Yes,
Sahara
exactly.
Desert-
That's where I saw it. Was on that
Oh,
one straight drop.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the. So they were talking about how they found a lot of root similarities from the Sahara to the Amazon.
Okay.
Which is why they're inferring that they think the Sahara used to be more similar to the Amazon's climate.
Oh, that's
No,
cool.
What it was is it actually used to be an ocean bed, and this has been proven because of the icebergs that were falling off in Antarctica. Diatoms would gather there, and they would eat the ice and all the particles that were trapped in the ice, and they light up.
Oh.
They're bioluminescent. So
That's
you can actually see it. It's
bizarre.
beautiful. But then
That's
they
awesome.
die. They're single-celled organisms, go to the bottom of the ocean, millions, tens of thousands, whatever you believe in scientific terms. Eventually, that becomes
Right.
Africa. So when there's deserts there, or storms there, it's not just like a sandstorm. It's a whole like continent storm that goes across the Atlantic Ocean and then settles into the rainforest.
To tie this back into CryoZone and cryotherapy, so it's at the macro level, and the way that these icebergs fall off and these small particles come and they like heal, what just occurred and create some new life out of it. When we make our bodies really cold, it creates a chemical reaction of all of these anti-inflammatory proteins get created, like in the core area, like stomach, heart, and these intestines. They produce these like proteins. Our bodies communicate with proteins, and the cold makes us increase our amount of anti-inflammatory proteins, and it simultaneously decreases the proteins that tell us to become inflamed.
So my first question is why, and maybe you can shed light on this. Why is that not the same for if you overheat your body?
They're both hormetic responses in the body, so it's temporary stress that causes a positive result. You can overdo both of them.
But when
Interesting.
you do heat, it creates inflammation usually.
And then your body
Right.
counteracts.
I'm just doing this for
But it
the
also
podcast.
it also does with heat. It creates heat shock proteins, and cold creates cold shock proteins, which are basically proteins that are more resistant to the extreme temperatures, which make you more level at like normal temperatures.
So
Well, that's why people sit in the sauna.
yeah.
Yes.
Like, yeah,
sure.
As,
which my
Asshole.
gym does not have.
But I have 2 in my house, so fuck you.
No, well, not in your house, your apartment
Yes,
complex.
true.
Yeah.
still counts.
Yeah.
Still counts.
Thank you.
Yeah, it does.
Thank
Agree.
you.
All right.
You're living it.
Yeah, it's better. Somebody else maintains it.
Yeah.
It is better.
100%.
Yeah.
When it breaks, I'm not the one fixing it.
There's a funny Mitch Hedberg
That's
joke that he's like, I wish that like the Home Depot, there was a place called Apartment Depot, and it would just be a bunch of people standing around doing nothing, saying we don't have to fix shit.
That's
So
amazing.
did we all do
great.
cryotherapy today? You all?
Yeah, we all did it.
yeah.
It was amazing. Yeah, let's dive into that. So I started off doing localized cryotherapy with I'm blanking on her name.
Jenna.
With Jenna.
Yeah, yeah.
Amazing. I came in a little late because I obviously got my ticket and I wasn't reading signs correctly, so I just ran straight into the room. You were already there, having a blast, telling them how much I suck, right?
Yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much.
cool. So I went down and basically, in a very nice way, Jenna informed me that I look really old for 31.
She's like, how old are you? He's like 31. She goes, really?
No, but she's transformed you into a 31-year-old looking man.
She has, yeah. So yeah. So
Yeah, most
basically-
people look younger. She did more work than she said she was going to, so you looked your age.
Yeah. Exactly. But no, I thought it was really interesting because it started off with a little consultation about like really understanding what I cared about and what it looked like was solvable issues that I was having that were localized. And as she said, that I'm very animated when I talk, which is the nicest thing any
Well,
human
she said,
being.
She said expressive.
Yes.
You're expressive.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, you're not.
animated and expressive are
Yeah,
are
it's a
synonyms.
nuance.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nuance. They're
okay.
functionally the same.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know that they say that vampires are really specific about being exact. So you just added another tally. So I'm building a case against them.
I accept that.
And then
Do we need to close the shades?
no, that's
this is
actually a
great.
misnomer.
Okay.
You
No,
know,
it's not real?
fangs and darkness are a misnomer on vampirism. It's actually fascinating research on it that actual vampirism from like ancient Latin like scriptures is wildly different than what we think.
Just people who take energy and
Well, it's basically like everyone today thinks that vampires are based off of Bram Stoker's fictional story.
No, you don't have to tell me. Tell them. I know.
So you know Bram Stoker, right? He wrote the first ever Dracula. So his fictional story is what everyone thinks vampirism is, but it's actually significantly different. And I can go down that rabbit hole for a really long time. But to bring it back, I have a lot of lines and shit on my face because I talk very expressively. So she Jenna like honed in on that. I was like, okay, let's do a session on fixing that. And we have a video that we're going to be putting out also of it. We videoed
Yeah.
the whole thing, which is really dope. And then basically this like handheld gel thing that I can only think kind of resembles like an ultrasound.
That's what I thought when she pulled it out.
I totally think of like an ultrasound type of like device. And it goes from hot to cold, and it's like a therapy session. So she works it into my cheek, into my head. It gets really fucking cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, really cold. To the point where I was stopping to talk because I was focusing on how cold it was.
Oh, yeah. I noticed that. Like, yeah. Man.
But after, it looked amazing.
Yeah,
I felt
dude,
amazing.
the session's normally supposed to go for like an hour.
Yeah, about another.
But she did like 10, 12 minutes. And
Right,
you could
so-
already kind of see some benefits and like how your skin was responding. So
100%. Yeah, I know. I see it. I have like this acne issue happening right in my like, I don't even know, like right at the bridge of my nose.
Your third eye.
Your
My
T-zone.
third eye. Thank
Yeah.
you. And I could already,
T-zone.
I actually could see because I'm like hypersensitive to how annoyingly broken out it is.
Okay.
I could tell that it was actually getting better from that session.
Yeah.
Which is cool because I like am very very sensitive to looking so shitty.
No pun intended.
Yeah, cool.
No, very much intended.
Yeah, there's less inflammation.
Yeah, there's definitely less inflammation. Because like typically being Egyptian and Brazilian, I have pretty great skin, except for like the last 6 months. I think it's because I'm getting old and touring.
I'm trying to tell you, you do have to wear sunscreen at some point in life.
I will not wear it.
Because the cold will help to protect your skin, but the sun is going to constantly attempt to destroy and decay the skin.
I really think I'm a galactic being.
We're all galactic beings.
And I'm made of stardust, just like you, so why do I need to be protected from it? Boom.
That's not a defense. That's not even scientific.
That is for Stardust, 100%.
No, not that part. Not that part.
Yeah,
The
we're
part
made
where
of
he's-
water. Why can't we breathe in water?
The part where he's making his existence singular, like it's not. Yeah.
I do love that we're made of stardust. It's true.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite line is in Doctor Strange where it's like, we're just an indifferent speck of dust. We're just a speck of dust in an indifferent universe.
Yeah.
It just makes you feel so small.
Yeah, it really
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
I like to view us more of a miracle. It just feels more fun.
The more I dive deeper into like space and science, because I'm like, I watch every documentary ever. There's so much science that says that like the ability for life to flourish here is such a massive fluke of coincidences of cosmic events, of like everything from like a specific radiation that was like emanated from like two black holes colliding into each other that hit Earth around the same time as the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs that allowed for life to flourish again. There's like crazy thing on this, like there's a documentary on PBS called like Massive Giant Black Hole.
Oh, I won't watch anything on PBS.
Why?
I'm just kidding. I watch Daniel Tiger every morning with my son.
But no, there's some really cool.
I just thought it would be funny to
we
just
we
outright.
developed with ice ages, though, right? Humans? Didn't we develop around?
Or we
like,
developed like coming off the tail end of the ice age, which is why we need cryotherapy.
Cryotherapy.
We do actually. I think our bodies respond better if we occasionally have periods of like
Well,
low calorie intake and extreme
I
cold.
do agree with that.
It makes all your weak cells die, and
Isn't there science
That's kind of
behind?
like nurture.
Yeah.
Like that's what we've
Yeah.
done to our bodies for thousands of years.
Isn't there science behind taking cold showers?
Yeah,
it
absolutely.
boosts testosterone,
Yeah.
and it wakes you up. And
Have you taken cold showers?
I routinely take like room temperature showers at the warmest. Like I've never really enjoyed.
So
Hot showers.
I have a little challenge for you. I read a study on cold showers, and they showed that there's similar benefits from all these 3 different variations of 5 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes of cold
Just
showers.
incremental, like, yeah.
But everybody was in a different group. So the group
Oh,
that
okay.
actually kept doing it the longest after the study was the least amount of time.
Oh, interesting.
Every single group all felt about the same reaction from it.
Oh,
so it's the
wow.
activation of your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. Just like cryo, you get in endorphins, these anti-inflammatory proteins, enzymes, as well as oxytocin, serotonin flood throughout your system.
So what you're saying is that
It's
like
sympathetic.
there's more benefit in the consistency of you continuing that than there is how long you do it each time.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. That, like,
Gotcha.
To start your day, like, if you just think mentally right now, 1 second of cold water back to hot water that you're used to.
It just like shocks
Yeah.
your system. Like
Yeah, it's
interesting. I might have to start doing that.
well, yeah, it's like we recommend people doing 7 days in a row. So we have like this one deal. It's killer. We probably shouldn't offer it, but it's 7 sessions in a row for $100 because we want people to do it so many times.
You
in a
want
row,
them
'cause
to-
we know it really is
It
what
has
creates the
longer-term
benefit.
benefits.
Yeah, you
But
want
it's
the
just-
benefit to be proven to them through process than just being like, "Hey, listen to me." Like,
One time.
Yeah, do
Yeah.
this once. It'll
Do
change
it.
your life.
yeah,
Maybe, but
Yeah.
most likely doing it multiple times, you're going to notice
No,
it.
So,
That's
so
awesome.
you studied finance and
Information systems.
information systems. Neither of those have any thread of cryotherapy. It'd probably be closer to like kinesiology, right? So that means that this must be a pretty big passion for you.
I think there's some related element though, because I've written the software for our booking system. I've written
Oh,
our
wow.
like text-based scheduling app. I wrote a payment system that we use to do thousands of dollars of sales online each month that
That donates to
gives to
charities.
charity automatically.
Oh,
like
awesome.
my passion is the intersection of finance, software, and improving society.
That's really cool.
that's rad.
So you wrote all the back end systems.
Well, I mostly we selected a number of different providers, and I wrote a lot of like I call it
Continuity coding?
glue code. You know, I make the systems talk to each other.
I,
cool.
I currently am coding. Well, I have a team. I'm not doing the coding for a comic book, a music meets comic books platform where it's like the Netflix of comic books. We animate comic books and put music behind them.
That's great.
And turn them into like these little short videos.
Then you're mixing to like the edges of disciplines is where innovation happens.
Totally.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a great line.
Super good quote.
I stole it from someone.
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
All right, well,
But he
I'm
believes
probably
it
going to
with
cut
his
it out of the episode.
I'm going to steal it from you now because
Hey,
you stole it from someone.
If you believe something with your mind, you speak from the heart. The words are yours, not theirs.
You know what? I'm going to provide an alternate yet relatable quote from Mr. George Costanza from Seinfeld, and it's not a lie if you believe it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all of these things sound like we're about to turn into a cult. Be like, we're super passionate and like we believe everything we say.
I think that Ellis would think you're a cult leader.
Well, they have said that there's like
To him, I am.
That's it.
there really is like a brain in our stomach apparently. Like there's like our different like three different
have
brains
read about that, yeah.
where it's like there really is this sense of gut intelligence. It's real,
yeah.
and then also heart intelligence, and then mind, and so there is some truth in that. Like, oh, I feel this here. Like, I hate to do this, but George Bush did it awesome. People make fun of him for it, and like his interviews. He'd be like,
because he's
I
an
feel
easy
it in my
target.
gut.
Exactly,
you know?
though.
But it's true.
There's truth in that. Yeah. Yeah, just because it came from like a ridiculous source doesn't mean that it invalidates the science
The
behind it.
only person that would invalidate would be Donald Trump.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't care what he says.
Same.
Wait, I have one Donald Trump joke. Wait, no, I shouldn't say this.
No,
one.
you should definitely
Oh,
say it.
you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
you're in a safe space.
this is
Not just in terms of like our political ideology, but like you literally say whatever you want on our show, and like,
no,
there's
it's-
not a line.
okay. So it's
Yeah.
why does Donald Trump take so much Xanax?
Oh, I don't know.
It's because of all Hispanic attacks.
Nice.
Yeah. And y hablo español y pienso que eso es funny. So it's okay.
Amazing.
That's great. Did you just say like I speak Spanish, so it's all right?
Yeah.
Basically, that's great.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. Because it's terrible, but it is kind of.
Why is it
I
terrible?
like getting the funny and the truth. That's why Joe Rogan's funny. You said you
Yeah.
copied him about us. I'm like, I love that.
Yeah.
Because it's like the funniest things are true.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, no, he has, in his new bit, he has this really funny bit. In his new special, he has a really funny bit about this dude that got brutally murdered in the Congo. But it's funny because the dude was like a selling religion. He was like a Bible guy, but he went to a part of the Congo that had not had human interaction from the outside in 400 years.
Yeah.
So Joe is just like, what do you think was going to happen
Right.
if you came in looking like a priest, holding a book, screaming at them to read this? They are going to spear you.
Yeah.
And that's what happened.
Absolutely.
And it just like his delivery of it, you really probably shouldn't be laughing that a human got murdered, but it was just so ridiculously on point of like
Yeah.
how little gut, heart, and brain intelligence this guy had, that the truth is pretty funny. You know another
Yeah.
person that's amazing at like just funny truth comedy is Joey Diaz.
Yeah.
I haven't seen as much of his stand-up. I've seen some of it, and I've liked it, but I haven't seen a lot.
You know, hold on though. That you're making fun of the guy with the Bible. I imagine that he actually had heart intelligence,
Yeah.
and that's why he went there.
was gonna
But he
say
didn't
that.
know how to
Oh,
listen to his gut or his
He
mind.
didn't know how to interpret it. That's
That's
fair.
a fair point.
That's really fair.
That's a good point. Yeah,
Yeah.
he definitely had heart intelligence and was not interpreting it correctly through the other
Yeah.
vessels.
So we got to integrate them. Like
Yeah,
where
totally.
Well,
Yeah.
gut is intuition, heart is wisdom, and mind is common sense. Like
Yeah.
he didn't have common sense.
If somebody
Like-
who never
Yeah.
worn clothes, somebody comes up in like a tuxedo, they don't even know what that is.
You're like,
It's
what?
it's a
Are you
spaceship.
two
But
people
they're
right
also,
now?
it's like
Yeah.
we literally feel sensations in those areas.
Definitely,
when we're
definitely.
in connection with other people, and it's like if you're not able to listen to your heart, your gut, and what you're thinking, and notice like, okay, I'm just all mind right now, but man, my heart hurts and my stomach hurts when I'm thinking about going to this island with this person.
Sure, yeah.
Totally.
Okay.
That's
Honestly, I wouldn't need my heart or my stomach to tell me that. My brain would say, you're going to a remote village where it's like not only likely that they're going to kill you, it's likely that they're going to kill you within the first 3 minutes of you being
Yeah.
there. Like,
Yeah, it's true.
that's bizarre.
Wow, we've got those in America. We got mind intelligence, right? Like we're like a lot of mind guys, us three here.
Yeah.
What I realize is like my brother's here too. My brother's he's also all in his mind too. I'm sorry.
But that's so fucked up, Josh.
I don't know.
That's amazing.
Listen, brother. Okay. And what I was getting at is our society also has I'm going to say like people with strong religious preferences. That also is a lot of times in their heart.
Yeah.
But it's like, but it does integrating those two is really challenging.
It's super challenging. Yeah.
You believe it?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, for our
Right.
society, that seems to be where we have a lot of issues is integrating our different
Well,
viewpoints.
people in our society tend to push to one extreme or the other, and the problem with that is that it's fine to believe in one thing more than you believe in something else. Like I think everybody does. Like that's part of like the human experience. Like it's not wrong to believe in
So
something.
you have a barometer. Everything's
Exactly.
not black and white. Most people live in gray.
But
we believe the cold will fix most issues.
exactly. So, but the problem is that confirmation bias is super prevalent in our
Yeah.
society. People
Echo
only
chambers are
definitely
Yeah.
like people are only going to look to a source that supports their existing beliefs as a form of gathering information, and that's I think very unwise and wrong. Like it's like it's okay to like pepper that in and be like, well, I like this news outlet because I typically agree with most of the things that they say.
Right.
That's comfort and that's okay, but people just pigeonhole themselves in that. And they don't ever like branch out because they're so afraid to feel wrong or be disagreed with. And
yeah,
people are also
disagreeing.
really, really, really ready to be offended.
And I also think that in the last decade, news stations have shifted drastically. They used to have pundits from both sides. Even
Definitely.
like Fox, which leans very Republican, definitely had a lot of unbiased Democrats for people to get both sides, even though it
Definitely.
definitely leaned Republican.
Sure.
Same with CNN.
Definitely.
Not saying the last 5 years that's gone completely out the window.
Well, I mean, the media for a while now has just been a vehicle for agenda. It's not really objective anymore.
That's true.
It's just people just use it. Honestly, the media is just a
Rupert
marketing
Murdoch.
tool. Yeah.
Nice.
We'll throw that in the link for the episode. But it'll just be his website.
So I want you to kind of take everyone through your first ever cryo experience.
Yeah, great segue. I was going to tell a story about how someone was offended about the lack of trans in a sign, but this is way better. So, no, real quick, I do want to tell that story, though, because so I was walking somewhere, and they had a sign. I was walking by a church in Pasadena, and they have a sign that says, "Love is love. Like, we believe that everybody is equal." And I was like, that's great. Like, I feel like more churches should be more accepting of people instead of just like outwardly saying, be like, well, like this is what we believe, and like you can come here if you want, but just know that we're gonna think you're wrong. Like this church is basically saying like no one is better or worse than anybody else. Like just come and then like figure out for yourself if you want to identify with this belief system, basically, which I think is a very respectful way to do it, especially in like just how sensitive Los Angeles is to like religion. It's not like it's not like Los Angeles is like a pretty open city. It's very eclectic and culturally diverse, but that also does not necessarily mean that it's, people who are like live a more faith-based lifestyle are necessarily prevalent outwardly. Like there's just not a lot of that I would see. Doesn't mean there's not a lot of it here. It's just they're like the kind of like the silent group, but this church was like, love is love. And they listed like every like race, other like religion, denomination, socioeconomic group. And then they had LGBTQ, and it said LGBTQ. The T was in there, and someone vandalized the sign, and like in the corner of the sign, they just wrote trans, like really big, like as if they didn't, like, well, you left out trans, like you bigots. Like the T was there. The T was there. It said LBGTQ, and unless I'm just a complete functioning moron, the T and LGBTQ stands for trans. Like the group was included, and to me, the point of the story is that is proof of people's just like they cannot wait to be offended and let you know how wrong you are.
People definitely want to be
They
offended.
want to be offended, and they want to show you how wrong you are.
I bring it all back to participation trophies.
Right?
No, like they definitely.
I'm feeling a little
like-
offended that you're not talking more about your cryo experience.
Right. Well, to segue this, one of the services you offer is called T-Shock. So
Yeah, there you go.
Can help you achieve your body goals.
exactly, which I maybe get flagged for this, but I've experienced my own form of T-Shock in some clubs in West Hollywood. So
Yeah.
but maybe we'll edit that out. Maybe we won't. That's usually the stuff that gets put in like the promo. And like, Joyce, why did you choose that? Like,
Yeah, she puts that in the promo. Our executive producer. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, Kyle makes offensive jokes about transgender people. And he did cryotherapy once. That's going to be the description. No,
We're
so,
actually in the middle of a contest right now. If anybody wants to make a new sign for our bathroom,
oh, okay, cool.
yeah.
I'll do
Somebody
it.
suggested I buy a new sign. I was like, if you're that passionate about it, I will put up a sign if you make it.
That's fair. You know what? And I think that that's a really fair. Not to make a joke out of it, because I think there's some truth in it. But like, if you put the responsibility back on them, you'll see how much they really care about it. Like, okay, I'll do it if you bring it. Like, that's fine. Like, it wasn't on my list
Well,
of
actually,
priorities.
I will collaborate with you. You want to talk about what supplies you
Yeah.
might need?
That's right. That's amazing. No, so I had never done any form of cryotherapy before. I'd never really had an opportunity to, and it's just not something I think about a lot. But this opportunity was generated through Matt's experience and reaching out. And so we're just like super appreciative of you being willing to let us come check it out and try it. And we definitely are excited to talk about it and run ads. We're going to be giving some discount codes. And so we're offering some promotions through the podcast for people to go try cryotherapy at CryoZone in Santa Monica. All of this will be done later through social media and links. You'll be able to get all the information. We're going to have that out. Well, but as you're listening to this, it will have already been released. You'll have seen it. But all right, it's time for a coffee break. We absolutely love talking without an end in sight, but we care about you. We care about your sanity, and you deserve to have a moment without Matt yelling at you to vaccinate every child you see on your morning commute. It's also time to hear from one of our incredible sponsors. Here at Nerds on Coffee, we care about the companies we bring on to support our show, and we try our best to only present products and services that we personally use and feel that you could use too. This coffee break is sponsored by Broglie Box. Broglie Box is an all-inclusive quarterly subscription box designed to promote optimal mental health and overall wellness. Each box is specially curated and includes full-size gift items such as essential oils, tools to combat stress and anxiety, coloring therapy books, candles, aromatherapy, journals, calendars, self-help guides, and more. The products in each box are sourced from well-known health and wellness brands as well as small independent crafters and artisans. Each box also includes a quarterly issue of Peace of Mind magazine. It features timely and useful articles, guides, and visual tools from a variety of published psychologists, psychiatrists, and mental health bloggers. Broglie Box is an all-encompassing resource kit for those who need support themselves or want to help someone else no matter where they are in their mental health journey. It's never too early to start asking how you can take care of yourself, and Broglie Box can help. Seriously, don't wait. If you see someone struggling in any way, reach out. Make yourself available and do whatever you can to make them feel heard and supported. You just may save someone's life. Please don't ever write anything off as too small. I just want to say I purchased one for my wife, and I wish I would have gotten the subscription. It's an incredibly well-designed box with things that are actually useful. I know Julia Broglie. She was a guest on our show, and she definitely put in the time to make sure each box is unique, but still caters to every aspect of your mental and physical health. I use the jump rope and diffuser regularly, and the magazine is a fantastic resource to learn more about how to take care of yourself. Head on over to brogliebox.com to learn more about the company, Julia's own story, and enter NERDS10 when you check out for 10% off your first box. That's brogliebox.com, code NERDS10. That's BROGLIEBOX.com, code NERDS10. brogliebox.com, NERDS10. All right, that was our coffee break for today. Let's jump back into the episode.
And back to the story.
Yeah. So it was cool. I mean, like Matt and I were talking.
Literally.
It was cool. No, the whole time I was just making all the Mr. Freeze puns from Batman and Robin from the 90s, from the Arnold Schwarzenegger when he was Mr. Freeze. I just basically ran through his dialogue in that movie in my head the whole time I was there. So
Was it colder than you thought it was going to be?
I went in being like, okay, this is cold. But if you've never experienced that type of cold before, it's not just like cold, because we've all been cold. It's a different sensation entirely. Like the skin on my arms started to like almost burn. Like it started to get borderline
like unmanageable with like how badly like the skin on my arms was hurting in there. It was actually kind of painful, which I don't want to say that to deter anyone from the experience. But whenever I got out, one of your employees at the desk, the dude with a really cool jacket and the hat, David, he was explaining to me that like if he was like, "Did you work out recently?" And I was like, "Yeah, I actually went to the gym yesterday." And he goes, "Oh, if you have lactic acid buildup in any of your muscles, like that's going to affect it, and it could be a little painful like as you're going through that." And it's
Is that true?
And so
Yes.
Fact checking.
you just hesitated long enough to just be like, "No, David's fired."
Well, I was like, great work, David. You calmed him down.
Oh yeah, it's like, oh, you just fed him some like total BS to make him feel better about the fact. Be like, no, that shouldn't happen. That guy's an idiot. He's not allowed back. No,
NLP in the moment, man.
that's right. You know what?
I love it.
It was cool though. Like I really enjoyed it. It's a different sensation than just being like really cold. You know?
Yeah.
Also, with the skin, it's where you have less circulation is often where it hurts more as well.
Oh,
Is what
interesting.
I usually say.
Oh, okay.
And then the lactic acid too. The muscles does decrease, but like how much muscle were you working in your forearm at the gym? You know, because that's where you're saying you were cold.
Oh,
So that's
definitely.
kind of why you caught my face. Like, I don't know, but
Oh.
I'm happy that he calmed you down.
Oh, definitely. Well, I recently changed like my arm workout, like as of like a few days ago.
To what?
Well, I'm just upping my weight on
Oh, are
biceps,
you?
and then I'm going over to, and then like I changed up like my tricep routine.
love
Were
it.
you feeling cold like on your elbows or in your forearms or?
Pretty much my whole arm, pretty much like from elbow down.
For me,
which
it's the
is, like,
fat on my stomach is
unbearable.
what becomes unmanageable.
So you're more like midsection.
Like right here,
Yeah.
like the love handles, that's what makes me need to stop it when I was doing
Yeah,
it.
it's-
No other part of my body, like if that wasn't getting cold, I'm fine.
The same thing goes back to what my brother just said, is that you have poor circulation there, so it feels.
I have a lot of fat blocking the circulation. It's very upsetting.
You also could try out the other machine, just because it's a little more evenly distributed, the cold.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas in the impact machine that you did, it blasts in near the waist level, so it's like, yeah, it is gonna.
Oh, so you were getting like the brunt of it, like right around your
correct.
stomach,
It's
like
it's
yeah.
the wind chill factor. Like that's
Gotcha.
the
Yeah.
further you are on the sides, that's the quicker the gas.
Yeah,
is
so these
gonna
guys did two different machines. We have two different whole body cryo
Yeah,
machines.
why don't you kind of go through that real
So
quick?
one of them is the we call it the Black Impact. Impact's the company that makes it. It's based out of Atlanta. We also can help with acquiring used machines if you're interested from Impact.
Oh,
Oh, that's
But,
cool.
and then that machine is a direct infusion of nitrogen into the chamber. So it's liquid nitrogen essentially diffusing through a nozzle right around the waist
So it's
level.
very localized in
Yeah.
terms of where it's coming out. into
yeah,
the-
it's just blasting in there. Like so, it's like it's pretty much.
Which is why you have to
near vapor.
turn every so often.
Yeah. So we call it the more intense machine because I mean you have to turn or it will hurt your skin if you keep focused in one area.
That makes
I
sense.
don't think I really understood what you meant by more intense machine until you just explained it that way. Because I was like, is it like, does that mean colder? And like in the room, you were just like, well, like not really. I feel like you were trying to break it down. I just wasn't getting it. And that makes a lot more sense because the other one is like vented more evenly.
Yeah, the machine has a lot more technology in it,
Gotcha.
like literally like more computers.
the one that he did.
Yeah, and it's got
It's called the CryoSense.
the CryoSense. That machine comes from Spain, and we
Everything
actually-
comes better from Spain.
I mean, it's actually it's got like it's got a Siemens controller on the inside, and it's which is like the top of the line gear, and it runs with an iPad application.
Yeah, I
we
noticed that on
actually-
the wall. That's
yeah,
cool.
we
That
also
you wrote.
no, I did help them a little bit with their software. We distribute that machine. as
Really?
well, yeah.
That's really dope.
And it's fun. That one kind of goes back to the Spanish, but anyways, just from knowing Spanish, I was able to make the connection into
That's cool.
the CryoSense
If
group.
you watch the Cold Rush, he
But,
goes into it.
Anyways, CryoSense machine
Yes.
that Kyle did in the CryoSense. That one, the liquid nitrogen goes into a chamber beforehand where it turns into a gas, and then we're using software and sensors to measure how cold the vapor is before we then blow the vapor into the chamber.
Okay.
Right,
So
because you were cleaning it, or what were you doing right before?
I ran a session one time to make the internals very cold because these things,
gotcha.
everybody will say, "Oh, my machine runs the same every time." I have news: nobody's machine runs the same every time. Every machine has an issue of you're running liquid nitrogen through it. So liquid nitrogen is going to quickly try to, the heat's going to try to go to it wherever it is. So if you have pipes with no liquid nitrogen in them recently, they have to cool down. But if everything's already
Makes
cooled
sense.
down, then it runs a little bit colder.
Yeah,
Less
seems like
energy is lost the later in the day that you do cryo. the colder it is.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so like first.
Yeah, that seems like junior high physics that you wouldn't have to
Yeah.
explain to other professionals that are in this industry, but sounds
Yeah.
like you do.
You broke it down pretty.
That was good.
Yeah, that's
I
great.
mean, I honestly, after hearing that, think that the Cold Rush should be a Netflix documentary.
Totally.
Yeah.
We can work on it after we finish this podcast.
Okay.
You guys seem pretty skilled. We could get some fire in there.
Yes.
I could definitely,
Absolutely.
yeah, just like have like a theatrical cryo session. Like while you're in there, there's like pyro going around outside of the session.
That's amazing.
Oh, but so you guys, we described 3 of the services. Matthew did the T-Shock
Yes.
initially.
And then the black thing.
Yeah, Kyle talked about his own T-Shock experiences. And then
Well, I didn't really talk about the experience, but I did let you know there was one. Yeah.
and then Kyle did Silver Machine. Matthew did Black Machine.
Yeah, and then we
And then-
did,
Normatec.
Yes.
what's it called?
Normatec compression therapy. That one is what I would say helps remove the lactic acid in the muscles and the legs. And
So that's
feels like
great
a
to
leg
do
massage.
post leg day.
Yeah, exactly.
Are there only like leg
Recycling.
sleeves for those? Do they have arm ones too, or like torso
They have
vests or
arm
whatever?
ones,
Like,
they have hip
okay, cool.
ones, lower back
I would
ones.
love to
Awesome.
see what I look like having them all on at the same time.
When we get the arms, we'll call you back for a picture. It's called the starfish.
Oh, I'm just picturing the giant Stay Puft Marshmallow Man from Ghostbusters.
I was honestly
Or the
thinking.
Michelin Man?
Or
I
the
was,
Michelin Man, yeah.
I was thinking more Snorlax.
Oh, fair. You know, I think we're all in the right area here.
But when we were doing the actual session on the Normax, you were explaining to Kyle very technically what it was doing. Can you do that again? Because it was very interesting.
Oh yeah. So what it's doing is it's got I think 6 or 7 chambers. I can't remember the exact
It
amount.
varies whether or not you're a large man or a short person.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. Yeah. Gender or whatnot. They have different sizes in different sections.
The ones we
Oh,
have
gotcha.
are all the same size.
Oh. Yeah.
We don't have-
Tech at our place is the same
Yeah.
size. Yes.
Yeah. So we have they are 6 or 7. If we had the big ones, we don't. You either are 6 feet. Or you're within a foot of that, or they won't be that comfortable. I'm sorry. everybody.
Well, no, they're long. Like
Yeah.
they're big.
Yeah, so they don't work if someone's under 5 feet tall. It's just not a comfortable
Well,
experience.
that's, I mean,
really.
for perspective, like I'm 6'2", and like my foot was barely sticking out of the end of it, and it came all the way up to like the top of my leg where it meets my hip bone.
Yeah. And then so for
All the
somebody
way.
who's like 6'9", it's too small. Is the
Oh,
other
that's
kind
true.
of
They're gonna get like a really good calf.
But we're kind of going into our faults. We have the size that fits 95% of people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, let's get back on track here.
and it has 6 chambers of air
whoops,
that
sorry.
it goes in sequence from like foot all the way up to upper quad. If you're in the 6 foot ones, then you're 6 feet. Get all those muscles, and it does like a sequence of compressing, like for 10, 15 seconds, kind of up the leg, and it's like an air massage. My brother's shaking his head. I think he wants to explain it.
It's compression therapy that goes up your leg in a sequence and blows up your foot, then your lower calf, then your upper calf, then your lower knee, and then your upper quad, just like that. And then it gets more intense after it releases everything.
And there's a zone boost option, which is something we worked out.
What's
Which
what's
we did,
that?
yeah.
What is a zone boost?
Zone boost is it's the CryoZone boost. It's
Yeah.
when you press the button
It's
on the
exclusive,
Normatec
and you
machine.
can't get that anywhere else.
Yeah, and you press the button and it makes it so it lasts like a little bit longer in each zone as it's.
So one of the deals we're offering is that like you get free zone boost if you sign up through our podcast. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing. But yeah, no, I actually found that really, really helpful. I want to come back and do it on a day after I had just done deadlifts or squats, because now that I'm not I used to play college soccer, and when I was playing, obviously I was doing a lot of legs and a lot of deadlifts and a lot of lower back. But now that I'm not competing at that level anymore, I've tended to stray away from it because the lactic acid buildup and my just overall hatred of life for days after a leg press
Oh, yeah.
day is just not worth it. But if there's a solution to that pain, I mean,
Well,
I'm
I
back
did,
in the game.
I
then.
did leg press yesterday, and it felt great today.
Really?
Yeah, it felt super good.
Oh wow, interesting.
Yeah.
So
That's great.
the deal we talked about offering, I think it was like 2 for 30
Yeah.
sessions. So
Oh,
people can-
definitely, yeah.
The way we do it is people can use those on whatever service they want, and it's so you could do a Normatec and then a whole body cryo. And the benefit of that is Normatec also dilates the blood vessels, and then cryo constricts them. So it's like you open up
Okay.
your blood vessels, and then you end on constriction.
So so it sounds like there's an order that you're suggesting that you could do them in.
Yeah, kind of like when you go to a hot spring place, you don't end on the hot and then get in your car and drive. You end on the cold before you leave.
Sure.
Because
yeah.
it just
Everything ends on the cold, right? No, it's cool. It's enlightening. I never thought of it that way.
Well, I mean, a lot of people end their workouts with the sauna and then they leave, but
you and I take cold showers.
But we take
or at
cold
least
showers.
room temperature.
I do
showers.
take
pretty
cold-
cool. Pretty cool. I take pretty cool shower. My wife will get in the shower and she'll be like, "What is the matter with you?" And then she'll be in the shower and I will feel it, and I feel like my skin is going to be red in 3 seconds. I feel like she takes normal temperature showers, which is I would say reasonably hot. Most people take warmer showers or hotter showers.
I take hot. I don't.
I take cooler showers. It just
I
feels
take
better.
cold showers in the summer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty. My tolerance for cold and hot is very seasonal. Even though there aren't really seasons here, when it's
I can tolerate cold way better than I can tolerate heat. Way better.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can tolerate the cold better in July, August than I can in November, December, even though it's not that much of a difference in LA.
Thing is, so these are your tendencies. However, each of you has the ability to learn to expand your
Totally.
tolerance. And that's what the Iceman. He basically has proven this. Wim Hof by doing studies on himself, showing how incremental increases in cold make him better at tolerating cold, and he's able to use breath to heat himself back up, and it's we all are able to do this.
Body
Yeah.
temperature.
I actually can pseudo identify with that because I used to run really hot. I would sweat super easily. I always wanted the fan and air conditioner on. I've hated summer because I'm just it's miserable. I never wore gray because it shows sweat immediately. Black or white only. Seriously, put on a gray shirt and then walk outside in 100-degree weather for 5 minutes and then lift up your arms. You will never wear gray in summer again. I promise you. Maybe it's just me. I sweat a lot. But over the years, especially whenever I moved to LA, I was I just want to regulate my core temperature better because I'm tired of just being hot all the time. And so I guess it sounds a little counterintuitive, but I started to just not cater to my discomfort in heat. And I started to just let myself kind of sit in it and start to be more comfortable and just mentally be this is fine. It's not that bad. And over time, I realized that I actually don't get as hot as I used to, and I don't need things to be as cold as I normally do. I've found that I've just been more comfortable if it's just this, for example, the way it is right now in this room. Usually I would just be
I'm sweating.
dripping sweat. Yeah. But I just made myself be more okay with it. And I think that
Mind willpower is
which is
definitely
crazy
a
that
thing.
as
But it's
humans
also
we
the
can
development of heat
do
shock
versions
proteins.
of that.
You
Yeah.
legitimately develop proteins in your body that make you more able to tolerate the different
Interesting.
extremes.
Interesting.
Plus, being in California for so long, you eventually got the ability to decrease your heat.
Oh yeah, and so whenever I leave California and I go somewhere that's more humid or even drier, because California's not super dry either.
You're out of equilibrium at that point.
Definitely, when I go back to Texas to visit family, I feel like I'm in an oven.
From Texas too.
Yeah,
We visit family in Texas. What city?
Lubbock, it's West Texas.
No way. I went to school in Lubbock.
Oh really? Did you go to Tech or?
Did go to Tech,
My
yeah.
wife went to Tech.
Nice.
That's
Good
awesome.
School. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a good school. Tech's a really great school. Both of my parents work at Tech.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
What did they do at Tech?
My mom works in as an advisor in the pre-med wing, and then my dad has moved around a bunch. He used to be in pre-law, and then he was an advisor and a professor, and
Nice.
he teaches a marketing class and stuff.
Basically, his whole
balls.
family are academics except for this weirdo who's a musician.
That's 1,000% right. Everyone in my family works in academia, either for a college or for IT for a college. They are employed by an education institution.
Hey, somebody had to do it.
All of them, every single one of them. And I'm not my parents, my brother and his wife, my sister and her husband, my aunt, and I got kicked out of high school and then got my diploma and then dropped out of junior college because I was on tour, and I still haven't finished. It's been 11 years, 10 years. I should probably go back. No, school's not important. It's fine.
I would agree. Education's important. School's
Yes.
not
Oh,
important.
education is important. School is very different. School in America is very different than what education at its core is and should be.
It's
Yeah,
a bubble is what I think was one of the best ways of describing.
Oh, definitely.
It's like there's an education bubble, and it still has its merits. Where it's like if you haven't bought into the bubble, people who are in the bubble are going to judge you for not being in the bubble.
Sure.
And so I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna get
in the bubble.
I'm just gonna get degrees so I can operate within the bubble because I'm trying to expand bubbles here.
Well, it's like it's honestly like it's
You're
less
like
about
talking about string theory right now.
right. Well, education in America, I think, is best summed up by describing it as it's not about what you're learning. It's about just being able to like
Navigate.
be credible in the fact that you accomplished it. Because there's so many jobs that are just like college degree required. Does not matter what it's in, but just like the fact that you went to college like allows you a seat at the table with a lot of people in terms of like the credibility
I think
they're going to offer
graduating college today is much more like a
like a high school diploma,
It's a
like-
simulation of an entrepreneurial endeavor because it's
Yeah.
not about the content. It's about the dedication
Yeah.
to figuring out how to finish. Whether that's you taking the test or buying a smarter person than you a keg, it's about
Sure.
you finishing the schooling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has no merit to the actual advancement of knowledge,
Which
is
I think
my
is
biggest
sad.
problem with
Yeah,
it.
which
It
I
shows
think
the
it's
ability
sad.
to navigate a system of rules that gets you a prize.
Exactly. That's
Well,
a
yeah.
very good way of saying
and so
it.
like and so according to your point, it's like there is a benefit to going, but it's not the advertised benefit that everyone like wants you to believe
Correct.
it is. And
I
so
would
it's like
agree with that.
yeah.
I mean, if we described it more as like, would you like to learn how to navigate
Yeah.
and win prizes?
Yeah. Do you want to learn about networking and schedules? Because that's what school is about in America. That's what it's about. Like meeting people and not being late. That's pretty much all they harp on.
Yeah.
You know,
and showing up for exams.
showing up for exams.
Yeah, if you miss those, sometimes they will not let you retake them.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I think it is. I think that it would be such an interesting proposition to invert that. Right, a teacher should do a class where the tests are optional, but the classes are not.
I actually recently did that. My last professor, Professor Brookins, he had a similar way of structuring his accounting class. It was majority about participation in
Oh, nice.
homeworks, and the tests were very menial. So
Yeah.
I kind of failed on that because I pay attention and I just do good on tests.
Right. That's amazing.
I don't like homework though.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
much more of like let's like engage. Like I never did well on like multiple choice tests, but I always ace projects.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm always better if
like both.
yeah. And I think that
Well,
also
I just argued that every question on a multiple choice test is correct on anything that wasn't math. Math is
that's
very
fair.
black and white to me, right? So like
Definitely.
it's very there's one answer, right? But like on a history or like on like a history or like English or like creative reasoning,
Yeah.
there's
different answers.
all four, and then the worst are the tests where it's like the best answer is the one they're looking for, where two or three of them could be correct, but
Right.
not the right correct. I never did well on those.
Yeah, it's just that like and what they're claiming by that process is saying like, well, we're advancing like your critical thinking skills and being able to like be creative in how you're recalling information and like looking at something that's more applicable. When really what you're doing is you're just punishing someone for still being right.
I don't think that ever taught me
Like-
mnemonics or any sort of memory
Not at
tricks.
all. You're just punishing someone for technically being right.
Yeah.
Like that's not a good lesson. Like that's dumb.
Yeah,
It's super dumb.
that's the plan.
Just be less dumb.
No, well that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, robots. Right?
Robots.
Yeah, totally.
No, I like learning, which is different. Like some people like school,
Education.
and some people are good at school. That does not mean like, that they are good learners, or that they're critical thinkers, or that they have common sense. Other people are really smart. Like they learn well, they apply themselves creatively and critically, but like, they're not good at the process and the format and the structure of the modern education system in America. And so, like anytime someone like even remotely has a progressive attempt at changing how they're like communicating to their students, people think it's like the most wild shit ever. And I'm like, this is how like Europe operates. This is how like most of the rest of the world operates.
What's the
And
difference between
and
the
teachers-
two? What
yeah.
we use, they use the metric system, and we use.
we're on imperial. We're the only country that's on imperial. Everyone else is on metric.
But somehow we're right.
Yeah, but that's America.
Right.
Yeah.
The word imperial.
Yeah. No, you're damn right. We're right.
Doesn't Britain still use it?
Britain's on metric.
Wow, we got it from them.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think that's right. We did, but they definitely switched over. But they also
yeah.
drive on the wrong side of the street.
Yeah.
Do you know why they drive on that side of the street?
To boost their own car industry and make it so that they wouldn't import as many cars.
No, it's actually a crazy reason. Is it reasonable? No,
What's the reason?
it's not reasonable.
I think the reason I gave is actually accurate.
I
No.
tend to believe that.
So they did that because back in the day they needed to hold their spear in their left hand while riding a horse, and that's just how it evolved.
Oh, well, that's not unreasonable. It's just natural. You're just sticking to what you know.
It's like the QWERTY
That's
keyboard.
the way people are.
It's like doing cryo.
Exactly. Exactly. I just stick to what you know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so back to this learning and stuff to tie it into cryo. Like in school, like I took a class, like one of my favorite classes was weightlifting because I got to get
Dope.
credit hours of A's
For just, like,
going to
taking
the gym.
care of yourself, yeah.
But like in doing so, because I really wanted the A, because like I'm a game player. I'm gonna play this game of school, so that I can have so I
Gotcha.
get, so I can
Right.
get my FAFSA money to go to Israel later.
Yes, not on birthright. Yeah.
I actually tried to convert to get birthright. Long story, they talked me out of it, and I just used FAFSA money.
That's amazing.
Because apparently birthright means you have to be born right. You can't convert to get it.
Oh,
It's a bummer. But
sucks.
I digress. What I was getting at is by taking weightlifting, I learned more about my body. And a lot of times, there's like a whole knowledge of how do I take care of this body and wellness. Like what we're in is like a wellness industry that's been emerging over the past like 6 years that we've been a part
Yeah.
of. And like we're seeing more places like ours come into existence with like these different modalities for healing that most people wouldn't really buy because like they're thousands of dollars. You're not going to buy one for your house unless you'd like to. We can help you with that. But,
Right.
But most people, it's easier just to go to a place and do it. And it's like this is like this emerging body of
And there's like a community sense to that, right? Like I could work out at home, but I enjoy going somewhere, like
Yeah.
feeling part of a community.
I could not be more different. I
Interesting.
straight up do not engage with anyone when I'm
Well,
in
that's
the
just
gym.
because you have love for everybody already, so you don't need it.
No, I have hate for everybody already. I
you
hate
still
everyone
work out at the
equally.
gym, right?
I still go to the gym. I check out though. Yeah, because like I don't want to get all that shit and
I
put
love
it
the
in my house.
contradiction.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it doesn't
No,
make
but you're
sense.
making a case out of it being like a social experience because you want to be connected. Not necessarily social. I'm not saying you go to socialize, but you're making experience. Like you're making a point
I
out
feed
of
off of
being
the energy
connected.
of other people. I like being in places with other people. Being
Oh.
alone scares me.
Oh,
You're calling him a vampire.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Yes. Well played.
yes, yes.
No,
No.
but we'll go back. So I didn't mean to interject. You were saying about how.
So you liked your weightlifting class, and because you got to learn about your body and you're in the wellness industry.
Yeah, I was just trying to tie it back. Into Come to
connect the
CryoZone.
dots.
It's a nice place. You're gonna buy this deal online, and and we'll give a portion to charity. I'm gonna figure out your charity that you guys like.
Okay.
And I'll make it so the deal from this feeds a charity.
I
that you
love it.
like.
Oh, awesome.
That sounds
Maybe it's
amazing.
like-
That's cool.
Maybe like youths that need help with music could be really cool.
So Boys and Girls Club is recently launching a whole, I think like 900 studios around the entire world, and this is a fun.
Oh,
they just
cool. That's
recently
awesome.
That could be great.
The Boys and Girls Club's a really great
you guys-
organization to contribute to as well.
Yeah.
Like I grew up benefiting from like my Boys and Girls Club.
Oh,
down the street
really?
From my house. Hmm.
If you want to contribute your time and energy into that whole like music program, I can connect you with the person who's ahead of that. Whole
Oh, cool. Yeah, definitely.
He loves doing things like that.
Yeah, I would rather like give my time away to help someone learn about something than like
Talk to me.
charge for like lessons and then be like, all right, well, let's do lessons because I've done lessons before. I hate it. Like I hate teaching people how to do something, but I really enjoy like giving back and helping someone
Yeah.
grow. I
feel like-
understand that's a nuance and there's a lot of overlap for some people, but for me, it is like a little bit of a difference because teaching's so rudimented and structured for like just how I view it and my personality type. I would rather just like more organically share my experience with people and like help them learn how to get better at what they want. I know I'm describing teaching, but like
No, it's more.
But
It's a mode
it's
of thought.
nuanced.
They
Yeah,
can
yeah.
ask you what they want in the moment, as opposed to teaching where you're not like raising.
Like,
your
well,
hand
here's
on behalf of the
curriculum.
class.
Yeah, yeah.
And you guys also sell some really dope CBD products, right?
Yes.
There's the ball. Is that a bath bomb?
It's a bath bomb. Yeah, it comes from Soul CBD, which is one of our customers and friends who we actually just went to watch box at MGMM this past weekend.
You
Oh,
telling us
sick.
about that earlier.
Yeah, Mike Lee, he created Soul CBD about a year ago, I think. And we have these bath bombs that we give out to people when they become members. We also sell them. And then we have some CBD cream from Soul as well.
Is that what you were rubbing on your neck when you got out of cryo?
Yeah.
Just like that lotion? Yeah.
Yeah, it's,
And what's the benefits to the cream?
it's pretty similar to like camphor, menthol, anti-inflammatory like cooling cream with the
Dope.
addition of CBD, which has anti-inflammatory effects.
Yeah, no, CBD products are fantastic.
So it's like
Yeah.
combining
I love
combining some awesome with what was already awesome. You know, like just
Totally.
like it's kind of like icy hot with CBD is the
yeah,
easiest way of explaining.
What do you think, as being a health industry professional, about the CBD craze?
I mean, I think CBD does decrease anxiety for a lot of people. Like there's studies showing it does that. It helps with pain and inflammation. Actually, helps with inflammation, and then a lot of times inflammation is what's causing pain. So it's like
Totally.
And I think Hunter has some things to say on the benefits of CBD.
Just on that topic of inflammation, most brain disorders come from inflammation.
Oh, yeah.
But going back to CBD, I have a CBD company as well as we have another product in CryoZone called Love CBD. It's made with MCT oil without the lauric acid. Lauric acid is the only inflammatory property within MCT oil. And so that stuff just absorbed in your system in like 5 seconds.
Oh,
You
wow.
literally get to absorb CBD super quickly. If you took like a whole dropper of 1,500 milligrams twice, not recommended on the bottle, of course,
Sure.
you would be ready to sleep.
Like you did, like instant.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool.
Then we also have some CBD stuff from a company called Quanta that I really like. They basically have a machine that they've invented, and it's like the life work of some professor who made this machine that I can't describe it very well, but essentially it polarizes the molecules of what goes into the machine. So they put their, basically people buy a pound of CBD for about $10,000 is kind of like the wholesale street price of CBD right now.
That's
is what I've
wild.
kind of learned just from trying to source our own stuff. And then these guys will buy their own. I don't know what they pay. I'm just kind of quoting a different source. And they put their CBD through this machine, and then it polarizes the molecules. And then they're saying that it makes them more ingestible and at like basically more effective.
Interesting.
And then we have some of their creams as well as. We even have a CBD vape pen we recently started offering. People were really like, "Oh, we shouldn't do this. It's like a drug." But like I studied it, and I'm like, the lungs are what is meant to put oxygen into the body. They're really effective at bringing stuff into the system more quickly than anything else.
Interesting.
And so these vape pens, I found, like at night, if I can't sleep, the CBD vape pen helps me to like calm down a little bit.
Yeah.
You just kind of blew my mind, because I never thought of like cigarettes that way, in like a negative way. I always just thought like the cigarette was like the evil thing, right? But it's really not, right? The nicotine is, and the cigarette's just a vessel to deliver it, because the lungs are like an efficient way to deliver that nicotine craving. So that's just like that like thought process of like the lungs can also be a delivery system for something positive, just because it's been used for the last 40 years for a negative item doesn't mean that there couldn't be a change of thought, a new perspective in using that amazing delivery construction within your body to deliver something that's beneficial rather than negative.
In addition to just nicotine being like a bad thing in cigarettes, there's an additive like 6,000 plus chemicals in every single cigarette.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in the first centimeter, they really add a lot of things in there to make that more of an addicting thing.
Definitely.
CBD will eventually get into CBNs and CBGs and be broken down into like what people want for their mood.
Oh, definitely.
There's a whole company called Canadescent that recently like launched a product line that's very mood centered. If you want to be calm or
There have been some
happy.
people.
We don't sell any THC things or advocate any use of THC.
Yeah, yeah.
Be dangerous.
That's I was talking about CBD, not THC at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's some essential oil companies that have started issuing essential oil vape pens, like for like different like mood, like reason, like there's like an anxiety one, a calm one, like one for focus and like things like that, and so yeah,
A lot of these do have THC in them.
a lot of
different
CBD.
moods.
Well, essential oils don't, and then if it's like 100% pure CBD, it won't have THC in it.
Yeah.
But because I used to use a lot of CBD products and they're really great. Like,
And only
CBNs and
the CBD products that are being sold in states where THC is legal have are more likely to have the THC in them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Over
yeah, yeah.
0.01%. Like if you have THC over 0.01%, you have to have a license.
Right.
It's like,
And it'll show up in a drug test
As,
too, even
as
if
well as
that
also
minimal. Mhm.
the cannabis stores have to have cannabis-derived CBD, as opposed to like other stores that don't sell THC, don't have the license for it. They have to have hemp-derived. CBD.
Interesting.
They're very
Oh.
different. They naturally have a profile around less than 0.01 because that's the requirements.
Gotcha.
Like you were saying, Matt, like this whole stigma behind cigarettes, just this shape of it alone has gotten a bad connotation over the years. Now Texas is passing legislation and attempting to, and further in the South, to stop just the selling of any CBD products. And that transfers over to your whole incense thing we were talking about
yeah.
too. Like there's very beautiful things that could be provided for people's readily available.
Yeah,
That's crazy
I
that
really,
Texas is trying to pass anything because their bylaws are only like 3 pages, so they don't really have any laws there.
Yeah, I know. Well, and like Texas is very much the like come here, like well, it's just like a capitalist utopia. And so
I mean,
it's
I've said this
ridiculous.
before. There's more tigers in captivity in Texas than there are free in the world. That should just tell you everything you need to know about
Yeah.
Texas.
But if it's shaped
true?
like a
That's a
cigarette,
real
yeah, that's a
statement.
real
Exotic
fact.
animals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How crazy is
I've
that?
seen panthers in Dallas, and like this one people's house, they have like a whole tapestry thing
It's
above.
the
Yeah.
wildest shit ever.
I've seen giraffes in Texas, but no tigers.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
more tigers in
Actually,
captivity.
at zoos, I've seen them at zoos.
People's houses.
But,
Yeah, no.
but people must have them at their ranches.
Yeah, people have them
there's
at their
a lot
ranches.
of
Yeah,
private
I mean, Mike
residences
Tyson
that
had
have-
most of them.
Yeah,
at
how,
one
many,
point.
how many of
Bunch.
these tigers belong to Mike Tyson, who's really from California and just got a place in Texas to
Yeah.
keep tigers because they
Well,
let him?
have you ever
Mike-
seen the episode of Joe Rogan where he interviews Mike Tyson? No. And Mike, I'm abridging it, but basically Mike Tyson goes, "I can't believe the people around me let me buy tigers."
Oh, yeah.
I was like
he had
he's
so many-
self-aware now. It's so funny.
Like the fact that the pun hasn't been made of calling him Mike Tigerson is like beyond me.
What?
Yeah, right? It seems so obvious.
yeah, he's gotten pretty fat, and he talks about it. He's like, yeah,
Well, fat for Mike Tyson.
well, yeah, but no, he's gotten pretty heavy because he actually says, and he goes,
Well, yeah.
I can't work out in a gym anymore because it makes me feel like a god. And when I feel like a god, that's scary.
Yeah.
Word for word what he said.
But he's a little chubby now.
Yeah, it's really funny.
That's
But he's
what
also, like-
thinking your God gets you.
You mean because
Yeah.
everybody comes and is like Mike Tyson this? Or?
Because no, he like
No, because he's
physically
that
feels like he could
powerful.
just kill or do anything.
I mean, and he's
when-
like arguably, and I say arguably, well, not arguably.
no,
like
he's the best puncher ever in
he's-
the
he's-
world.
he's like-
he's arguably the best boxer.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the best fighters that has ever lived. Period. Across any fighting style, he's
Yeah.
one of the best fighters. But he just, the dude, the amount of force that guy can generate, unbelievable.
Yeah, it's like a neutron star in his hand.
Right. No, but like going back to what you were saying about Texas outlaw, like passing legislature to like have anything against CBD, it's just like I resent. That's one of the main reasons why I left, like why we moved away from just the South in general. It's just because like I just resent that culture as a whole for just being so narrow-minded and willfully ignorant about things that are easily provable in science. Like that's how I feel mostly about the South. If you're listening in the South right now and you have any kind of influence, like fuck you, basically. I just think that it's so backwards. It's like it just doesn't. Well, and also it's like it's super ironic and it goes against everything that they say that they believe in. Of just like, well, leave us alone and like let us do what we want. And I'm like, okay, well, like technically you can vote on legislature to like,
I'm
you
not
know, but
familiar with who tried to pass the legislation, but I do know this happens globally. That if you're having a main like cash cow in a specific country that's beneficial to you, for example, the tobacco industry, it makes sense
yeah.
for them to try to stop other smokable devices.
oh, it definitely does. Well, and Texas is just as guilty of like, of like bureaucracy and lobbyism as they claim everybody else is in like more liberal parts of the country because like they will take oil money and they take all kinds of natural resource money with these tycoons and like they're funneling it into the like Texas politicians'
100%.
pockets.
Well,
Like,
to Hunter's point, it is across industry, right? Because
It definitely is.
In New Jersey, they passed absurd legislation that closed every Tesla store in Jersey because technically car dealers, there has to be a third party that sells cars, right? So like like Ford and Lexus, blah, 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 blah. They don't actually own the dealers. There's a
oh,
third
but like
party.
Jim's Ford of Jersey has to sell it. Yeah.
So when Tesla was going direct to customer and just crushing the competition, the lobby of car dealers in Jersey made them pass legislation that said that was illegal. They're like absurd. So they
you
had
have
to
to go
serve.
to TeslaLending.com in order to get your
No,
Tesla.
no.
Right?
Actually, Elon was like, "Yeah, fuck that. We just won't sell it here."
Yeah, no, I love it. He's like,
Go to New York.
Yeah, we don't need your money, Jersey. We actually don't even need you. Atlantic City is garbage. You're a second-rate New York at best. And at worst, you're almost as bad as Florida.
You're
don't need you.
basically our bastard stepchild that we hate that we use swamplands to house our sports
Right.
teams.
You got to give them 20 years. They'll be on the good side eventually.
I know. Isn't Pete? Pete's from Jersey.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
one of
but
our
still.
one of our really good friends and members of the hero team is like through and through like Jersey.
But but it's like the one thing that like he'd be a perfect human being and a saint if he wasn't from Jersey.
Right.
But to go back to this laws and cars and laws that prevent innovation.
Yeah.
So it's what's one story I really like when cars first came out. There were some towns that passed laws that made it that if your car came near a horse, you had to pull over and turn off your car, so that you would not
Interesting.
startle the buggies. So it's
I mean,
kind
there's
of
some like reason to that because like I'm assuming it happened and someone was like, "Oh, we can't
same
have
reason
this."
why you shouldn't have a THC pen because you might startle some people.
Startle some people. That's right. Yeah. Well, I think. Well, and that.
I think
points
innovation
to-
scares people in general.
Oh, I'm
Innovation
sorry,
scares-
CBD. Oh, they're banning CBD pens now.
Because you can't tell the difference between the THC or the.
But you can. It's literally
Right. No,
two
for
different
sure.
chemicals. Like people
But
are just
I
being
think to your point is
They're being
that to Joshua's point that people inherently more people than not fear innovation, fear change.
Definitely.
Right. It
well,
goes
because you can't predict it and you can't control
Well, it goes like to an extreme example, right? And I think we've talked about this before. That let's just say on like an off chance hand that like you believe that aliens exist, you couldn't ever.
On the off chance?
I was about to make the same joke.
I'm just being. No,
Last night he woke me up telling me he saw aliens.
That was
like cool. So then let's get real then.
We'll get to
Alien-
that. We'll get to that in a minute. Let's finish
But
this conversation.
If aliens exist, right? Let's say they interact with our government, that they give us technologies, whatever. Let's say you believe Ancient Aliens on History Channel, which is arguably one of my favorite shows
Matt,
ever made.
this is just turning into a biography, Matt. Like, yeah.
But to my point is,
That's how we got cryo. Was the aliens gave us the
it
technology?
makes so much sense now. But no, even if it was all true, objectively, you couldn't tell the general public because it would be too innovative and too much change, and people would go mad. It would discredit certain ideologies, and it would create mayhem. So that's on a very extreme scale. But if you scale that down, the same thought process goes through anything. Any change, any innovation scares the average person because they can't imagine doing things differently than how they were programmed to for so many years.
Well, definitely, and I think that points to, in my opinion, was an even bigger problem in this country is that there like the idea of balance and doing things temporarily or doing things like in moderation is also a concept lost in the United States. Like we do not operate that way. And the perfect example of that is just laws that get passed like in the 60s and the 70s, like social laws or social programs or like unionization, like around the turn of the century and the Industrial Revolution and like everything coming up through our country of like creating something to protect a specific group of people for a reason. As your population grows and as your country evolves and expands, those things actually tend to work against you because they were like hyper localized and they were focused for a specific reason and they were designed to meet an immediate temporary need. And then that problem was solved. And then as our population grows, we expand beyond the need for certain laws and for certain regulations and even unions and organizations. But
So we have checks
we
and
don't.
balances.
Yeah.
This kind of reminds me of the new grand strategy. We'll get there in a second.
Yeah, but we don't do away with those things. They just keep growing and they just keep going. And it's like the pendulum goes so far in one direction and the like solution that so far the United States seems, that they always need to do is go like, well, we're super far left. That means the next president's got to be super far right, and the next policy's got to be the opposite because like the way to undo this is to go the opposite.
way,
And I'm
yeah.
like, no, that's not. That's just the way to
make
make
sense.
it worse
Yeah.
in a different way.
Yeah.
Like the way to undo this, if it needs to be undone, is to gradually take steps back until you get to a neutral point and you understand the merits of both sides of the argument. But people in the United States don't do that. They don't want to be reasonable.
Even you did this a little bit with your bashing the South for their value of traditionalism.
That's true.
See, this is the thing. The openness to new experience value of
That's
liberalism often craps on the value of traditionalism, and then traditionalism does the same thing to the value
Oh, it
of
definitely
openness
does.
to experience.
Oh, it definitely is.
And
We're all
really, it's
guilty of it. Yeah.
The tradition, but you have this tradition of, hey, actually, we have this great American value of moderation. We actually need that. That's like, it goes
Right.
back to like, they taught us that in history school with those Puritan folks.
Right.
You know, like we come from them supposedly.
Supposedly. No, I definitely go against my own argument whenever talking about like the South, just because like I'm bitter and like I'm personally resentful.
Were you told you were going to hell as well?
Yeah, a lot.
You just need to know the right formula for
So
belief.
yeah, exactly. Well, no, that's the thing. It's just like people like they're just like unwilling to accept the fact that like and I know that like I am now in my desire for the proliferation of acceptance. I'm outcasting someone else for not being as accepting as I want them to be. And by nature, I am now falling into the trap of like the antithesis of my argument, which is like a really like English scholarly way to say of just like I'm a hypocrite. But no, you're right. But I think everyone's like that. And I think that our country operates like that. And I think that it turns into a problem. It's not that big of a deal, like on a day-to-day basis, just individually in society from person to person, because like we can check one another, we can regulate. You can have a bad day or even a bad experience somewhere and you can wake up and realize like, oh, I shouldn't have acted like that. I'll apologize. Or I'll go back and like, maybe I'll tip better, or like I shouldn't have left that review, or like I need to be nice to that guy next time I see him. Like we can regulate on an individual level. But the problem is that we don't regulate on a large federal level, and our government operates selfishly like people do, but it shouldn't, because it's an organization and an entity.
And also, laws don't ever expire. Rarely do laws expire.
Yes,
Totally.
that
They're
is
like-
that's
also.
So they're like, hey, what we're going to do is we're going to
Well, that's what I was talking about earlier.
a ton
It's
of
like-
money to this idea.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Like, we'll never look at it again.
Yep.
Totally. Yeah, it's not to continually quote Joe Rogan, but I do tend to do that. In his new stand-up, he has the thing where he's like, imagine if you were talking to John Hancock today, and he was like, dude, I wrote that shit by candlestick with a feather, and you
Yeah.
haven't changed it? What is wrong with you?
You didn't
people?"
update it? Yeah.
It's so true. It's like, what are we doing? We have amendments that were written three people ago, right? I love to say that. Look, this country's only 3 people old. People live to 100. So we're 3 people old. We're babies, right? We're still babies, and yet we think that we know how things
Another
should be
one
done.
I love, one of my favorites, is we set up the Fed in like 1912, and like it was based. There was this report done where the guy who was trying to help form what the Fed would be went and interviewed all the banks in Europe, and most of his report was dedicated to the banks in Germany because that's what we were trying to favor. Literally 3 years later, the Weimar Republic blows up. Like
Oh,
it
that's
imploded
amazing.
from creating too much money. He's like, they've been around the longest, 170 years. It's great. Let's do it like this.
Which is like, I wouldn't like blame someone for that logic, but you know.
But then in the 70s, we got rid of the gold standard, which means we print money that has no actual value to it.
No, money is money because a great political power says it is money.
Yeah,
That's very
exactly.
true.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, there's no actual value to it
There
whatsoever.
is value. Are you kidding me?
There's less value because there's an
We have a
infinite
deal about
amount.
money
They can
right
keep-
now between you and I. We
Well,
like it.
no, but I'm saying actually the money has no value.
Well,
Like
it
it
has
used to have a value.
You're
It
talking
has-
about American dollars, right?
Yes.
it has applicable value,
Yes, it has
but
applicable
it does
value.
not have tangible value,
Yes,
is what you're
right.
saying, because
Yes.
it can't be linked to something
Like you
that
used
exists.
to, in like let's say it was like 1960 right now. You could go to the bank and trade your money for gold.
Those are the days.
Right.
Yeah,
Amazing.
I remember being
I
able to do
trade
that.
my money for gold regularly.
Yeah.
But the trouble is you have to then go store it in a safe. It's expensive.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they're both useful.
Or the free
Like,
option is burying it under a tree, but then you have to have a tree and time and enough time away from anyone else that
And you
can
have to
see
have
you in
land.
that tree. Yeah.
Because
the thing, man.
I've seen that. We were watching a squirrel this morning.
It was so weird. What
It was
up with
digging.
that
It was
squirrel?
digging around in
It
someone's.
was like doing 360s and stuff. It was the weirdest
That's
squirrel I've ever seen.
amazing.
I thought he had rabies or something.
Is that the alien you thought you saw?
No, that squirrel was just having fun.
I think he was digging up stuff that the woman had just planted.
He started doing like
Oh,
cartwheels and stuff.
interesting.
That's hilarious.
So if you like went and buried a gold
Wait, so
coin
I
and
wish I
no
took a
person
video.
Where's
saw
this
you,
alien that you saw?
We were in the middle of Death Valley right after soaking in selenite, which releases toxins and stuff. So that explains some sort of visual thing. And then also I was like in what's it called, paralysis. But I knew I was in paralysis, and I had this weird feeling about a drone that went over me. So I was just saying my brother's name so he could wake me up from my paralysis because I know I need external help whenever that happens.
Right.
So he woke me up, and then I like looked and like realized it was totally a dream, and I was just like verifying, like, was there an alien right here? And like, no, okay.
But maybe in a different dimension he was
Exactly.
there.
That's
Yeah.
Maybe.
like, okay, maybe it would be the shadow
I really
aliens,
think
if
there was,
anything. Now
there was a lot of people around who were probably doing meth, and that was why.
Yeah.
that's not.
I'm serious. It was a very small town in the middle of nowhere.
There was
doing
people
meth.
playing bands at like 3 a.m. or 2 a.m.
That's cool.
That's why we had.
Definitely meth heads.
You think it's aliens, but it's just regular people.
Have
doing
you
meth.
watched the Bob Lazar documentary?
Bob Lazar, you're talking about the one, not Disclosure, but you're talking about
Area 51.
Yeah, there's this. What is it called? Existential. That's
No. It's called Bob Lazar and something.
I think it's
pretty good popcorn.
No, it's called.
Extraterrestrial.
No, it's just called Bob Lazar Area 51 and something.
Hour and
I'm
25.
pretty sure I watched this a few weeks ago. and
They,
what it's
that's pretty
supposed
normal.
to be.
Okay.
Yeah. We usually just go.
But yes.
I think the longest we've gone is like 2:30.
Dr. Stephen Greer's one's really
And
dope.
the shortest is like
Yeah.
30 minutes.
Yeah.
Bob Lazar, you might find this cool. I have these dots right here.
Oh wow.
Bob Lazar says, I've been told this multiple times.
Yeah, you've been abducted.
Yeah.
I don't see him.
He's an alien abductee.
Yeah, I've been told.
Oh,
this.
wow.
I have like a
Yeah, there's 3 dots right there, yeah.
I have 2 of them.
That's
Area
crazy.
yeah, Bob Lazar, Area 51, and Flying Saucers came out last year. It's pretty. Yeah, it's pretty epic.
What's it? What do you think it's about?
Bob Lazar?
Can we just
It's like
No,
15
it's
watts.
just I'm just being a dick because it's an extremely long and literal title. Yeah. Like what's
No,
in
but-
it?
So my suggestion is if you're gonna go so pick a night and watch the hour and 30 documentary and then watch the 2.5 hour Joe Rogan interview of Bob Lazar in that order. Don't do it the other way. And it is fascinating.
All right.
And I will tell you, after those 4 hours, you will believe that there are aliens and spaceships.
I mean, I already reasonably believe in aliens
No, I
without that.
One time, I was in Washington D.C. and I was walking around at like 2:00 in the morning, and there was a very large, like storm that didn't really seem normal. It was like a cloud that was like really dark gray, and then like I was like, wait, the edge of that cloud is actually like there's like a line, and it was like a really loud noise, and I just like the people around me, I was like, do you hear the really loud noise coming from above us? They're like, yeah. I was like, do you notice how there appears to be like a very large, oddly shaped gray cloud with a straight edge? And they're like,
Right.
yeah. I'm like, all right. And I just went on to where I was going.
Yeah, I'm already 2 questions into what should be 0 questions of you sharing my experience. And so
And they're also like, just
Yeah.
leave me alone, man. Like,
I once, my only real quote unquote potential encounter was I was in Long Island driving from Jones Beach Amphitheater back into the city that night, and there was an object that was moving in the sky obscenely abnormally. Now, obviously, it could have been a futuristic spacecraft, but it was
or a
unlike.
remote control helicopter with lights.
No, it was not. It was moving too, like, malleable for that. And then it just zoomed off, right? And I know that sounds really generic, and that's not the part that freaked me out. That I would have just, like, 9 out of 10 times.
you'd be like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah, it's been weird. The part that was
Classic.
really weird was not even 20 seconds later, 4 blacked out Escalades that straight up looked Men in Black zoomed directly in that direction, the opposite way from me on the highway. And that was the part that I was like, that's fucking weird.
Yeah, that would be like evidential enough for me to be like, that is Shield going after Thor. That's Shield going after Thor right now.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's what it felt like. It was
Yeah,
so
he
weird.
was summoned through the Bifrost. They're trying to get him and be like, no, you have like can't leave yet. Like, you know,
Odin needs me.
Odin needs me. Like, no, but Mjolnir's actually been sanctioned to the federal government. We own it. Like, and he's like, no. Anyway, what do you expect from a guy wearing a Marvel hat? Like,
And Mjolnir
like
on
Marvel.
his arm.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Totally.
What's Mjolnir?
Mjolnir is Thor's
which
hammer.
that right there.
Oh,
which
nice.
it's Thor's hammer now. It was originally Hela's hammer, who
And
is
it
Thor's
will be
oldest
Natalie
sister.
Portman's.
And it will be, yeah. Well, we'll see.
Also, Thursday is origin of Thursday.
What's that?
Thor's Day.
Is that
Nice.
actually the origin of Thursday?
No, we walked right into that. That was beautiful.
Of course.
I'm going with that. I
Thursday.
don't need to fact check that. To me, Thursday is now Thursday.
You can't type it though, or write it down because it'll be too obvious. You just have to say it and then just like not acknowledge and be like, when are you free again? Like, I'm free if you want to grab lunch on Thursday, and just like blow right over it.
I'm 100% doing that from now on.
Totally. That's great.
That is definitely my new mode of
That's
talking.
amazing.
Well, I'm only free on Thursday.
Yes, that's it. That's it.
Oh, I love it.
Well,
Is there anything else that you guys wanted to kind of touch on in terms of?
Cryotherapy is like Thor's hammer.
yes.
I love that.
I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah.
So why don't we? You don't have to throw out like
We'll bumper this with the promos.
we'll bumper
and
with
everything.
promos and like actual like figures and like links and promos and stuff like that. But just in any way you want to, is there anything else that you would want to just like remind people about CryoZone, or like talk to them about like a plug or anything that you guys have coming up, or just like anything else you'd want to say about it before we take off?
Yeah, make sure you're always dry wherever you do cryotherapy. We provide
yeah.
towels and wipes for you, but other places I'm not sure of. So always just do your best to know what to be safe about. And
Oh yeah, because going into like a nitrogen chamber wet does not sound enjoyable.
yeah, it's like if you were to pee in the machine, what would happen? It's not something you want to do.
Has that?
That's never
have there-
happened.
That's
I don't
never
know.
happened. Have there?
No, it's never
create that
happened.
image.
No, it's just yeah.
Just a general rule of thumb: don't pee in something someone's letting you use that you don't own.
Right.
I feel like that's a better way to say that. Has there ever been like anything weird that's happened that you didn't think you'd have to tell someone about it, but then you're like, oh well, now we have to give that disclaimer because like we didn't realize we'd have to say that, or like, are people generally like, using common sense when they go in? But like, you guys do a pretty good job of explaining it too, of like letting people know, kind of like.
Yeah, we keep it professional. People
Sure.
will sometimes try to steer in the direction of too weird, and we just kind of steer back and like, well, I'm just gonna leave you right here. I've explained everything.
Yeah.
You're gonna undress, hop in the machine, press
Yeah,
the
just-
button. I'll see you in a second.
We always
Yep.
get that stuff. Everybody follows the procedure, but they still steal our socks.
Oh really?
Yeah,
People
we
take
sell the
socks?
socks. You don't have to steal them. You can buy them. All
What?
right?
That's crazy.
They're
I think
actually
you wanted
expensive.
to buy some of those.
Well, I thought they were cool, the tall ones, but then whenever we sat down in the chair and I got the little ankle ones, those are actually like way more comfortable. I definitely would have stolen the ankle
You can
ones.
spot people walking around with CryoZone socks in Santa Monica. And one of our people who's worked with us for a long time, Anna, she one time called someone out, and he just acted like nothing
That's
happened.
amazing.
He's like, what do you mean? It's Thor's Day,
It's Thursday.
I love it. That's it. Ended on that.